Imagine this. A group of close friends, filled with laughter and the carefree spirit of youth, head out for what should have been a simple weekend camping trip in the remote wilderness. They were experienced enough, prepared enough, and most importantly, they were together. But when the sun rose 2 days later, none of them were ever seen again. No bodies. No signs of struggle. Just gone. And for 14 long years, families agonized over the absence, investigators chased cold trails, and conspiracy theories took root like wildfire. Until one chilling afternoon, when a hiker stumbled upon a weather-beaten tent deep in the forest. The strange thing? The tent was untouched. Inside, the friends' belongings remained, frozen in time, as though waiting for their owners to return. But the owners never did. This is the story of the friends who vanished on a camping trip, and the terrifying discovery that reignited a mystery buried for over a decade. It was late summer of 2008. 5 friends, all in their mid-20s, decided to escape their bustling city lives and reconnect with nature. They had known each other since high school. Daniel Carter, the quiet, thoughtful leader of the group. Maya Green, adventurous, always with a camera in hand. Lucas Boyd, Daniel's best friend, quick with jokes but fiercely loyal. Sophie Reynolds, Maya's cousin, a skeptic who often questioned everything. Tyler Brooks, the youngest, known for his fearless nature and impulsive decisions. They had one goal: to spend 3 nights camping in a remote part of the national forest that bordered the mountains. The area wasn't a tourist spot. It was wild, untouched, and known only to seasoned hikers. They packed light but prepared: tents, food supplies, maps, a first aid kit, and Maya's beloved DSLR camera to capture the trip. On August 15, 2008, they loaded into Daniel's Jeep and drove off, laughing and singing along to old playlists, never imagining this would be their last ride together. When the group didn't return after their planned weekend, families grew concerned. At first, police suggested they might have decided to extend their trip. But when day 4 came with no calls, no sightings, and Daniel's Jeep still parked at the trailhead, panic set in. Search and rescue teams were dispatched. Helicopters combed the forests. Dogs were brought in. But nothing was found. No campsite. No tracks. Not even a discarded water bottle. The wilderness had swallowed them whole. Weeks passed, then months. By winter, the case had grown cold. The only thing more chilling than their disappearance was the complete lack of evidence. It was as though the friends had walked into the trees and simply dissolved. The disappearance quickly spiraled into speculation. Wildlife attack? Unlikely. There would have been signs of struggle. Got lost? Maybe, but 5 experienced hikers all vanishing without trace? Hard to believe. Murder? Some whispered that maybe one of them had turned on the others. Paranormal? Stories of strange lights in the area, ghostly figures, and even cryptid sightings started circulating. Families clung to hope. Each year, on the anniversary, they held vigils, candles flickering in the night for 5 souls lost to silence. But the forest gave up no answers. Fast forward to 2022. A hiker named Eleanor Hayes, an avid explorer, ventured off the marked trail in search of new scenery. She pushed deeper than most ever dared, into a dense stretch of forest nearly 30 miles from the trailhead. That's when she saw it. Through the thick brush, a faded blue tent stood. At first, Eleanor thought it must have belonged to another hiker. But as she stepped closer, dread crept over her. The tent looked old, weathered but oddly preserved. Its fabric was strained by years of exposure, yet it hadn't collapsed. Inside, she found belongings. A rusted camping stove. Sleeping bags rolled up neatly. Cans of food, expired but untouched. A camera, its lens cracked but intact. And most haunting of all, 5 backpacks, lined against the tent wall. Eleanor froze. The air around her felt wrong, heavy. She snapped a few photos and left immediately, her hands shaking as she dialed authorities. Investigators rushed to the site. For the first time in 14 years, there was evidence. The tent was verified as belonging to Daniel Carter. The brand and model matched receipts the family still had. But the most baffling detail? It looked as though the friends had never left. There were no signs of panic, no signs of forced departure. Everything was carefully arranged, like they had simply stepped out and never returned. The forest around the tent had grown wild, branches swallowing the campsite, but inside, it was as though time had stopped. Forensic teams collected the camera. To everyone's astonishment, the memory card still held data. When recovered, investigators scrolled through images, landscapes, group photos, smiling faces around the fire. But then the final image appeared. A blurry night shot. The 5 friends sitting near the fire, their faces tense. And behind them, a faint silhouette. Tall, human-shaped, but distorted in a way that made the skin crawl. That was the last photo taken. The image sparked national headlines. Who or what was standing behind them? Skeptics argued it was a trick of the light, but others swore it was proof of something darker lurking in the forest. Families were torn apart again by fresh grief. Seeing their loved ones frozen in that last moment, with fear etched across their faces, was unbearable. Authorities reopened the investigation. Cadaver dogs were brought back to the forest, but again, no human remains surfaced. It was as though the forest itself had swallowed the friends whole, spitting out only their belongings as a cruel reminder. Some suggested a hidden group in the forest may have lured them away. A drifter known to pass through the region in the 2000s became a suspect, though no evidence tied him directly. The eerie silhouette in the photo fueled ghost stories, cryptid lore, and even alien abduction theories. A darker idea suggested the group may have tried something ritualistic, or that one snapped, leading them all into doom. Yet, without bodies, it all remains speculation. Today, the tent sits in an evidence storage unit, haunting in its ordinariness. Families have no graves to visit, no closure, just the memory of 5 young souls who vanished into thin air. The photo, the last moment captured, still circulates online. Some claim to see eyes glowing in the background. Others insist the silhouette is just a shadow. But one thing is certain. The tent's discovery raised more questions than answers. And sometimes, the scariest mysteries are the ones where the silence speaks louder than the evidence. So what really happened on that camping trip? Did the friends stumble upon something they weren't supposed to see? Did the forest itself claim them? Or was the truth far more human, hidden somewhere in the tangled wilderness? 14 years later, we still don't know. But the sight of that untouched tent, sitting deep in the forest, frozen in time, is enough to make anyone wonder what waits in the shadows, just beyond the reach of the campfire's glow. Because sometimes, the scariest part of the story isn't what we find. It's what we never do.